So this piece of land here, where Jeff Vantreight built his house up on this hill, was bought by a farmer that owned this piece for years. So what Ian and the Vantreights are trying to do, virtually, is make an end run around the regional growth strategy.
The proposed hilltop development by Vantreight, and everybody, I think, knows him as the daffodil farmer. But he's also a developer. He's developed in the Cordova Bay area, and now he wants to develop land and put a rather massive development that is outside the urban containment boundary in central Saanich, and right in the middle of agricultural land.
But here we go again. It's almost like a repetition of the same theme. They move out to central Saanich, to good farmland, from farmland in Saanich, and then all of a sudden they decide they need to develop some of their land, and they seem to be, for the moment, getting away with it.
And trying to get a special zoning they want it to be called a rural, so that they can build an urban-style, high-density development on this land, and as you can see, it would be like a Bear Mountain type development. And they're doing that so that they don't have to sewer it and water it, and they don't have to go through a regional approval system, which they would if they were part of an urban containment boundary.
Suddenly, we have a proposed development of probably up and over 100 units on 13 hectares of land, which is clearly not rural. This is an urban development. So it's a total misnomer. So they're trying to define it as rural to say that it doesn't change the official community plan, when indeed it does.
The development itself is a proposal to have, right now, 110 residences on the hillside that's behind us. It's in central Saanich.
To allow him to develop fairly dense housing in the middle of agricultural land, it just is beyond belief, because it is in violation of all the principles.
The Central Saanich Community Plan defines rural as unserviced, large, rural residential lots and agricultural lands not within the Agricultural Land Reserve.
The Vantreight land in central Saanich now, you can see from the highway, the Pat Bay Highway. You can see the fields where they grow the daffodils and whatever. This land, as I understand it, is very close to the North Saanich border. There will be roads required to be built to get into where this development is happening, which will also disrupt things.
The scale and location of the development is not consistent with the intent of the official community plan, the regional context statement, or the regional growth strategy. CRD report, January 27th, 2010. Regarding the Vantreight development application.
And the second policy very clearly says that the purpose of rural lands is to support agricultural uses on those lands and to discourage subdivision or development wherever possible.
The proposal represents an urban development in an agricultural setting, not previously contemplated in this location by the municipality, and represents a departure from previous plans and policies. CRD report, January 27, 2010.
Well, the only thing I would say is I strongly urge residents of Central Saanich and North Saanich and my own Saanich, because I see us being involved as well, speaking out and letting this council know that their behavior and their moves to act in violation of their official community plan and the regional growth strategy is simply not acceptable.
But there's nothing on the central Saanich side very close to it at all. Right. It's farmland all around it.
As I was driving out to come here, I passed by and there are grapes growing immediately adjacent to it. I mean, it is being farmed right there.
It's a very bright location too.
Yeah.
So it's good for farming or for greenhousing. And
it's got most of the elements that make it a very bad proposal. Not only is it in the middle of agricultural land, but it's about as far away from our urban services, things like water and sewage and so on, as you can get. Whenever you have agricultural land surrounded by houses, you've got conflict. People don't like the smell, they don't like the noise, they don't like all that stuff.
And then, of course, not to mention that there were other farmers who've been trying to build on their properties too, and they're just sitting there waiting. And
But the fact is that the more you allow, the stronger the argument that other people can make.
That's right.
You know, when you let someone subdivide a piece of land, what do you say to the next door neighbor who says, "Well, what about me?"
I'm not seeing any sort of benefit being touted for this development. It's not there. It's all, you know, the developer is asking for very large concessions from the community, and I'm not seeing anything in exchange.
I don't see that he can reasonably say, "I've got to do this, or the farm won't be viable."
But that is sort of what's been repeated.
Yeah, I haven't seen any numbers.
that's not our problem, anyways. You know, it's not our
Exactly.
problem.
But to throw on another 100 houses onto something that's potential for something else makes me think of what happened over in Delta. That's why we have, I thought, the OCP. It's why we have concepts of urban containment.
I've been to most of the council meetings in the last year and a half, and I'm not hearing any real discussion around the issues of the OCP. The OCP, the urban containment boundaries, the regional growth strategy, all these things are just sort of being swept aside as being guidelines that we don't need to follow if we don't feel like it.
This is our OCP as part of the whole, as you say, the whole regional strategy. And Central Saanich is supposed to be largely a farming community.
It certainly bothers me to see the one-way nature of the development. Once it's developed, you never ever get it back.
So what we've seen so far is that in Central Saanich, an official community plan was developed by its citizens to prevent urban sprawl. A regional growth strategy was also created by the Capital Regional District. Mr. Vantreight is attempting to put a major residential development on a hillside in the middle of farmland. If this development proposal is not stopped by the citizens of the region, this land will be lost forever, and attempts by the citizens to stop urban sprawl will have utterly failed. Ask yourself a simple question. Do you want this? Or this? So what can you do? If you do not want to open the floodgates to development, if you do not want Central Saanich to become yet another sprawling suburb, then become politically active. Become involved with the Dogwood Initiative, or join the residents and ratepayers of Central Saanich Society. Contact your councillors. Contact the CRD. Take action.